We talked yesterday about how Mike Huckabee has indicated he would be interested potentially in running for president to fight what he calls the secular theocracy that has become the United States. Now, we talked yesterday about how if you have a secular society, one where religion is not used to make law, you are not, by definition, in a theocracy where religion is used to make law. So secular theocracy is somewhat of an oxymoron, but Mike Huckabee is kind of an oxymoron as well. He now has come out and said that there was no school violence when schools had Bibles and prayer, and that if we could just bring back Bibles and prayer to schools, there would also be no school violence. Here's how Huckabee said it.
As a kid, I remember we would have people come to our school and do assemblies and chapel services in a public school. And they would talk to us about Jesus. The Gideons would give us Bibles. And nobody got arrested, nobody got sued, and by the way, nobody got hurt either. Because we were bringing Bibles to school, people weren't bringing guns to school, except for the deer hunters who left them in their trucks. We prayed at my school. We prayed the first thing every day. We said Pledge of Allegiance, we had a Bible reading, we had a prayer, and then we prayed again on the way to the cafeteria for lunch. Now, if you'd seen what they were serving in our cafeteria, you would have prayed too again.
If we want to just talk about how things were back in the good old days when Mike Huckabee was a kid, we also had segregation in full swing. Blacks could be lynched with impunity. Gays were treated as mentally ill. Marital rape and child abuse were swept under the rug. And women had to, as they said, Lewis, know their damn place. So I don't know that just saying the way things were when Huckabee was a kid is the right way, is a good idea for Republicans.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he, we would speculate that he actually seemed like a smart guy, like perhaps one of the more reasonable candidates.
Yeah.
Then he comes out and says something like this, and it's disturbing.
And then as far as just the data, because we have information about whether there were or were not school shootings prior to 1962 when prayer was banned in school, he should probably do a little research first, because we can actually trace back school shootings all the way back to 1760. The earliest known United States school shooting happened when the Pontiac's Rebellion school massacre in July of 1764. 3 men entered a schoolhouse near present-day Greencastle, Pennsylvania, shot and killed the schoolmaster and killed around 10 children. So I guess he was only off by a couple hundred years, Lewis, there. And even if you look at, the 1850s had at least 5 documented school shootings. The 1860s had 6 documented school shootings. Skip to the 1950s, before Bibles and prayer were banned in school. There were over 20 documented school shootings, and who knows how many did not make it into the record. Living in a factual fantasy world. And it's so interesting to me how you hear a comment like this from a guy like Huckabee. Your first reaction is that it's just incredibly misguided and it's just focused on this obsession with a Christian theocracy in the United States. But then when you actually analyze what has been said, you find out that it's mostly based on distortions, lies, or missing information as well.
And I think if we were to bring Bibles and prayer back, I mean, the Bible is just something that will make a certain percentage of the people who read it hate other people. That's just what it does. Not all of them, some of them.
And what about all the Bibles, Lewis, that have been used to justify shootings? People using the religion to justify a shooting.
Of course, yeah. I think it would do way more harm than good.
And also, what about the fact that we have had shootings in churches? You would think if Bibles prevented shootings and prayer prevented shootings, there would never be a shooting in a church.
We've got plenty of prayer and churches and Bibles in this country. We still have natural disasters. So what's going on with that?
No, it's a very, very good question, Lewis, and one that I'm sure, I guarantee you, Huckabee would have an answer for.